Okay, so we're diving deep into Dario Amodei's wild take on the future.
Wild. You mean inspiring, right?
Haha, yeah, that too. But seriously, the guy's predicting AI could totally flip the script on, well, pretty much everything and make the world way better. Like within our lifetime.
And the thing is, Amodei isn't just some Silicon Valley hype machine, you know?
Yeah.
He's got serious street cred, literally wrote the book on AI risks.
Exactly. Right. He's the CEO of Anthropic, one of those big AI safety companies. So when he's the one saying, hey, AI could solve humanity's biggest problems, you got to pay attention.
You really do. It's not just talk either. He's laid out this whole framework for how to think about AI's impacts.
Oh, right. The marginal returns to intelligence thing, right?
Exactly. So like, where are the bottlenecks to progress? What's really holding us back? That's what he's looking at.
And he thinks AI is the key to breaking through a lot of those bottlenecks, which is what we'll be digging into today across 5 big areas he lays out. We'll be talking about biology, health, even things like governance, and the future of work. But let's kick off with what's probably Amodei's most mind-blowing prediction. He calls it the compressed 21st century.
Yeah, that's a good place to start. So Amodei basically says that thanks to AI, we could see 50 to 100 years worth of progress in biology and medicine, but crammed into the next decade.
I know, right? 50 to 100 years of progress in just 10 years. It sounds insane, but then you hear his reasoning and it's like, maybe, just maybe. So break it down for us. Why does he think this compressed century is even possible?
All right, so it comes back to that marginal returns idea. Amodei says a lot of big breakthroughs, they aren't held back by like lack of money or even data these days, but by how much brain power we can throw at the problem.
So it's not about resources. It's about the limits of human ingenuity.
Right. Think CRISPR for editing genes, or how fast we got those mRNA vaccines. Total game changers, right? But they still took years of research, tons of brilliant people all working towards those breakthroughs.
And there are only so many of those brilliant people, and they can only work so fast, even with the best tools.
Exactly. So Amodei's like, what if we could amplify that ingenuity like 1,000,000 times over?
And that's where the AI comes in. It's like this massive force multiplier for scientific research.
It's like having an army of AI scientists all working 24/7, combing through data, designing experiments, even coming up with totally new research questions that humans might miss.
It'd be like putting the entire scientific process on fast forward. So give us an example. What's one concrete way Amodei sees this playing out?
Well, he talks about eradicating infectious diseases like gone, not just new vaccines wiping them out.
Seriously? No more flu shots? Sign me up. But on a serious note, that's a massive claim.
It is, and he doesn't stop there. Amodei also thinks AI could be the key to cracking the code on aging itself, like actually doubling our lifespans.
Okay, now that's just, we nearly doubled life expectancy in the 20th century alone, right?
Exactly. So it's not as crazy as it sounds.
I guess you're right. Still, a world without cancer, Alzheimer's, even the common cold. It's hard to wrap your head around. What would that even do to our healthcare systems, the economy? Our whole idea of life and death would change.
Yeah, those are huge questions. But before we spiral down that rabbit hole.
Right. On to the next mind-blowing prediction. Let's talk about what Amodei thinks AI means for our understanding of the brain itself. And get this, if you thought his predictions about health were wild.
Let's just say Amodei doesn't hold back. We're talking about potentially going way beyond just treating mental illness.
More radical than doubling lifespans. Okay, now you've got my attention. Lay it on me. What's Amodei's big prediction for AI and the brain?
He calls it a compressed 21st century for neuroscience. Kind of like with biology and health, he thinks AI could accelerate progress so much, it's like cramming decades into just a few years.
Okay, so we're not just talking new antidepressants here, are we? This is bigger.
Way bigger. Amodei is talking about using AI to unravel the mysteries of consciousness itself.
Whoa, hold on. Like actually figuring out how our brains give rise to thoughts, emotions?
Yeah.
All of it.
You got it. He even gets into brain-computer interfaces. But not just the stuff we see now. He thinks AI could help us build BCIs that can read brain activity in real time, sure, but also interact with individual neurons.
So instead of just treating the symptoms of something like, say, depression, we could go straight to the source, neurologically speaking.
That's the idea. Fix the wiring, so to speak. But it gets even wilder. Amodei also sees potential for AI to actually enhance our brains, like boosting our cognitive abilities.
Hold up. Enhance, what does that even mean? Like, we'll be able to learn faster, focus better.
All of that. Imagine being able to control your emotions more easily, or pick up new skills in a fraction of the time it takes now.
Okay, now we're getting into some serious sci-fi territory. But I have to admit, it's a pretty tempting thought. No more mental illness, and we all have superpowers. Sign me up.
Right. But Amodei's also realistic about the potential downsides. He brings up some big ethical questions we'll need to grapple with.
Like what? Give me an example.
Well, think about genetic screening. If we can use AI to tell if someone's predisposed to, say, schizophrenia or bipolar disorder, should we? Who gets to decide how that information gets used?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Uh,
That's getting into some serious ethical territory. And those are questions we definitely need to be thinking about now, before this stuff becomes a reality.
Absolutely. It's not just about the tech itself, but how we use it.
Amodei definitely doesn't shy away from those tough questions, which is what makes his work so compelling. Okay, so we've talked about AI revolutionizing healthcare, maybe even allowing us to live longer, healthier lives. And now we're talking about using AI to understand and maybe even enhance our own minds. It's a lot to take in. But let's shift gears a bit and talk about something that affects everyone, regardless of how long they live or how enhanced their brain is to the economy. Amodei also has some interesting thoughts on how AI will impact global economic development, especially when it comes to the issue of poverty. And that's something I'm really curious to hear more about, especially with all this talk of AI potentially automating jobs. It makes me wonder, will everyone benefit from these advances? Or will AI end up widening the gap between the haves and have-nots?
That's the million-dollar question, right? And Amodei's point is economics is a whole lot messier than, say, biology or even neuroscience.
Because you're dealing with human behavior on a massive scale. And humans can be pretty unpredictable.
Exactly. It's not like a controlled experiment. But even though he's more cautious in this area, Amodei still sees a lot of potential for AI to actually level the playing field.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so how does he see that happening?
Well, for one thing, he thinks AI could completely change how we deal with global health crises. Like, imagine a future where a new pandemic hits.
Please, let's not even joke about that.
No, of course, but just imagine. What if, instead of it hitting countries with limited resources the hardest, we could use AI to develop and distribute vaccines and treatments really fast, everywhere?
Everyone gets equal access to the best care, regardless of where they live or their economic status.
Right. And that's just one example. Beyond those immediate crises, Amodei believes AI could help developing countries achieve really impressive levels of economic growth.
It'd be like having a personalized economic advisor, powered by AI, for every country in the world, helping to guide them towards a brighter future. That's a pretty exciting thought.
Yeah.
But I also can't help but wonder, with all this talk of AI-powered this and AI-driven that, what happens to the actual humans in these economies? Like, does Amodei think AI will create mass unemployment? Or is there a way for humans to thrive in this new world of work where AI is doing more and more?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? And that's where Amodei's last big focus comes in. Work and meaning in the age of AI. He really wants us to rethink some pretty fundamental assumptions about work itself.
Like, what do you mean?
Well, he's saying maybe we need to move past this idea of our jobs being our sole purpose in life. Like, our work is the only thing that gives us meaning.
That's an interesting thought. It's not like people only find fulfillment through their jobs, right? We've got hobbies, relationships, creative pursuits, all sorts of things outside of work that give our lives meaning.
Exactly. And Amodei thinks AI could actually free us up to focus more on those other aspects of life. Like, as AI takes over tasks that are repetitive or require a ton of data crunching, it opens up space for us to focus on things that are uniquely human.
Things that AI, even super advanced AI, might not ever be able to replicate.
Right. Things like creativity, empathy, critical thinking, the stuff that makes us human.
So it's not about AI replacing us,
Yeah.
but about AI augmenting our abilities, helping us specialize in areas where we naturally excel.
That's the gist of it. Of course, Amodei's not naive about the challenges. He knows this kind of shift would mean huge changes to our economic systems.
Yeah, it's not like we can just flip a switch and suddenly everyone's living in a post-scarcity utopia where robots do all the work.
Definitely not. He does bring up some possible solutions, like universal basic income, but he's also upfront about the fact that we're basically entering uncharted territory here.
It's like trying to describe a color you've never seen before. We don't even have the language for it yet.
Exactly. But, just because it's new and different doesn't mean it has to be bad. Amodei is a big believer in humanity's ability to adapt and innovate.
We've done it before, right? The agricultural revolution, the industrial revolution.
Yeah.
Those were massive societal shifts.
Huge. And we figured it out, found new ways to organize ourselves, new ways to find meaning in our lives. And Amodei thinks this AI revolution could be the same, maybe even better.
So instead of the end of work, it's the beginning of something new and potentially even more fulfilling.
That's the hope. A world without poverty, without so much disease, a world where we have the freedom to pursue our passions and contribute in ways we haven't even imagined yet. It's a pretty amazing vision when you think about it.
It really is. And Amodei thinks anyone who lives to see this kind of transformation will be struck by just how profound it is. And on that note, we want to hear from you, our listeners. What part of Amodei's vision resonated with you the most? What possibilities excite you, and what concerns do you have? This is a conversation that needs all of us. Head over to our website and share your thoughts, because this is just the beginning of the conversation. And for now, this has been your deep dive into the world of AI and its potential to transform our world.